What happens when two iconic women in music, both admired for their talent and influence, sit down for what should have been a warm and casual conversation, but instead, buried resentment and unspoken secrets rise to the surface? What you're about to hear is one of the most unbelievable events in daytime television, where a seemingly harmless interview turned into such a fiery clash that it ended with one guest storming off the stage. Before we dive into this wild encounter, don't forget to subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is filled with layers that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about these two stars. That morning, the atmosphere inside the Kelly Clarkson show studio was buzzing with energy. The audience was excited, the crew was ready, and everyone expected an upbeat show. Gwen Stefani walked onto the set with her trademark confidence, her platinum hair shining under the lights, styled to perfection. She wore a black and white outfit that looked both edgy and elegant, a perfect reflection of her style. The crowd cheered loudly, clapping and shouting her name as she smiled and made her way to the seat across from Kelly. Kelly's face lit up as she greeted her guest with a wide smile, her voice full of excitement. This wasn't supposed to be a tense exchange. It was planned as a fun, celebratory moment, almost like two friends catching up in front of an audience. "Gwen, I am so thrilled to have you here," Kelly said warmly. "I have to admit I've been a fan since the No Doubt era. Watching your journey, how you've grown and transformed as an artist, it's been amazing." Gwen returned the smile, but her voice was a little cooler than expected. "Thank you, Kelly. That really means something, especially coming from you. You've had so much success, too." It was polite, but there was something in her tone, a faint chill, that only the very observant might have picked up on. The audience, however, was still completely charmed. Kelly leaned forward eagerly. "Let's talk about your journey. You've reinvented yourself again and again, from ska punk frontwoman to pop star to fashion trendsetter. What drives you to keep changing?" "Adaptation is survival in this business," Gwen answered, tapping her fingers lightly against the chair's arm. "You either evolve or you fade out. I've always felt the need to push boundaries, even when people didn't get it right away." For a while, the conversation stayed on safe ground. They spoke about Gwen's latest music, her fashion projects, even her time as a coach on singing competitions. The mood was friendly, but there was also an invisible weight under it all, something waiting to crack open. Kelly's questions slowly shifted, becoming more pointed. "You know, Gwen, I've been curious about something," Kelly said, her tone softening, but with an edge creeping in. "You've collaborated with some incredible people, but I've noticed that quite a few of those partnerships ended on complicated terms." Gwen sat up straighter, her expression sharpening just slightly. "Partnerships in this business are complicated, Kelly. Creative relationships are intense. Sometimes they just run their course, and that's normal. But don't you think there's a bit of a pattern?" Kelly pressed, her words landing heavier now. "Your band members leaving, collaborations falling apart, public arguments. At some point, don't you stop and wonder if maybe you're part of the reason?" The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. What had started as a cheerful interview now felt tense and uncomfortable. Gwen's smile remained, but her eyes grew steely. "That's quite the accusation, Kelly," she said coolly, "especially coming from someone who has had her own challenges in this industry." Kelly didn't flinch. "I'm not trying to attack you, Gwen, but there's this narrative out there that you're, well, not the easiest person to work with. Controlling, demanding. I didn't create that narrative, but it exists. Those words come from people who've actually worked with you." "Demanding?" Gwen's voice rose just a little. "Is that what they call a woman who's clear about her vision and fights for it? Because when men act the same way, they're called visionaries. But when a woman does it, she's difficult." The audience could feel the air tightening like the temperature had dropped. Kelly leaned back slightly, realizing the tension but not backing down. "That's a good point about double standards," she admitted. "But I'm talking about specific instances, specific people." "Specific people?" Gwen's laugh rang sharp, cutting into the silence. "What are we doing here, Kelly? Are we going to sit and analyze 30 years of my career? If that's what this is about, maybe you should have told me ahead of time instead of pretending this was just a friendly chat." The audience, once lively, was now silent, glued to the drama unfolding. Kelly's tone hardened. I just want honesty. I think the audience deserves authenticity, not the carefully polished version of celebrity life. Authenticity? Gwen leaned forward, her voice lower now but loaded with intensity. You want to talk authenticity, Kelly? Then let's do that. Let's talk about how you've built your whole image on being relatable, all while undercutting women in this industry when the cameras aren't rolling. The audience gasped quietly. Kelly's face drained of color. Her bright confidence slipped for the first time. I honestly don't know what you're talking about, Gwen. I've always tried to support women. Really? Gwen's smile was bitter now. Because I've got stories. Stories of what you've said in closed meetings, things you thought would never be repeated. Should I tell them right now in front of your audience? The silence in the room was unbearable. Even the production crew seemed frozen, unsure if they should intervene. Kelly tried to regain her balance. If someone told you I said something bad, Gwen, maybe we can talk it out privately. Not here, not like this. Privately? Gwen suddenly stood, towering over Kelly's desk. Where was your concern for privacy when you spread rumors about me during my divorce? When you whispered to executives that I was unstable, unreliable? Kelly looked shocked, almost panicked. I would never. Gwen, that's not true. I wouldn't do that. Not true, Gwen snapped, her voice cracking like a whip. Kelly, I have proof. I have witnesses. I even have recordings of you laughing about my marriage falling apart. Recordings of you calling me desperate, saying I was clinging to relationships to stay relevant. Kelly's face went pale. If I ever said something like that, it must have been taken out of context. I would never intentionally hurt you. Context? Gwen began pacing now, her steps sharp, her energy boiling over. How do you take calling someone past their prime out of context? How do you twist telling a record executive I was a risk to work with? Kelly looked around helplessly, but nobody moved to save her. Gwen, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No, Gwen cut her off, pointing straight at her. The only misunderstanding was me thinking you were different, that you were genuine. But you're not. You're just like everyone else, pretending to support women while tearing them down the second it benefits you. Kelly's eyes welled up with tears. That's not true. My whole show is about celebrating people. Your show is about celebrating you, Gwen shot back. You put on kindness like a costume, and then when the lights are off, you spread poison in private. That's not support, that's betrayal. The audience sat frozen, some covering their faces in shock. Kelly tried one last time. Gwen, if I caused you pain, I am sorry, but you're describing someone I don't even recognize. That's not me. Gwen stopped pacing and stared, her gaze sharp enough to pierce. Do you want to know the worst part? It's not just that you said those things, it's that you believed them. You convinced yourself you were doing the industry a favor by pushing me out. I never tried to push anyone out, Kelly whispered. Then explain why opportunities vanished after you had private dinners with executives. Explain why my name suddenly disappeared from projects right after you whispered your so-called concerns. Gwen, you're making me out to be some manipulator, Kelly said, her hands trembling. That's not who I am. Not who you are? Gwen's voice shot upward. I have a recording of you calling me a liability to a Sony executive. Should I play it for your audience right now? Kelly's voice shook. You can't do that. It's private. It's not legal. Oh, now you care about privacy? Gwen's laugh was sharp, mocking. Where was that concern when you spread my private business? The air felt electric, dangerous. Then, Kelly snapped back, her own mask slipping. You know what, Gwen? Maybe I did say some of those things. Maybe I did question your stability. But look at you right now. Acting out on live TV, was I wrong? The audience gasped. Gwen's expression hardened into pure, cold fury. Finally. There's the real Kelly Clarkson, the one who smiles for the cameras and tears people apart in the shadows. I didn't destroy your career, Kelly shot back. You did that yourself with your drama and erratic choices. Erratic? Gwen slammed her hand on Kelly's desk, making mugs rattle. You mean my divorce? My heartbreak? Or was it just because I didn't disappear quietly when you thought I should? Kelly stood up too, her voice rising. I thought you should have taken care of yourself, not dragged everyone else into your chaos. My chaos? Gwen's eyes blazed. Let's talk about yours, your divorce, your custody fights, your financial mess. But somehow when it's you, it's called bravery. When it's me, it's chaos. Kelly flushed deep red. That's not the same. I handled mine with dignity. Dignity? Gwen scoffed. You mean talking about it in interviews for sympathy? Painting yourself as a victim while your ex couldn't defend himself? I never tried to hurt anyone, Kelly said, but her voice was faint now. You didn't need to try, Gwen snapped. You used your influence to quietly poison people's minds, to make yourself the stable alternative. That's worse. The producer signaled frantically for a break, but the two women didn't even glance at him. You know what your real problem is? Gwen said, her voice low and dangerous. You've worn the America's sweetheart mask so long you forgot words matter? You forgot your casual comments ruin lives. I'm not cruel, Kelly whispered. But Gwen raised her phone. Funny, because I have a text where someone quoted you saying, Gwen Stefani is a cautionary tale for women who don't know when to step aside. Kelly staggered, her face turning pale. That's not... You're twisting it. What context makes that okay? Gwen shot back. What gave you the right to decide my career was over? Kelly stammered. People ask opinions. Everyone has them. Not everyone has your platform. Not everyone sits at the dinners where futures are decided, Gwen thundered. I never meant to hurt you, Kelly murmured weakly. You never meant to? Gwen's voice rose again. You undermined me, ruined partnerships, destroyed opportunities. What did you think would happen? Kelly's face crumpled. I thought you were already successful. You didn't need... I didn't need what? Respect? Fairness? To not be sabotaged by someone I thought was a peer? Gwen, please! Kelly begged, barely audible now. Can we move past this? Gwen looked at her coldly. Move past this? You don't get to wreck someone's career and then ask them to move on because it's inconvenient. You don't get to play the victim now. She calmly gathered her things. The sound of her purse strap and her heels echoed in the quiet room. This interview is finished, she said, heading for the exit. Then she turned back one last time. You know what's really sad? I actually respected you once. I thought you were better than the typical mean girls in this business. But you're not. You're just better at hiding it. With that, Gwen Stefani walked off the stage, her heels clicking like a countdown to the end of Kelly's carefully maintained image. The audience sat frozen, unable to process what they'd just seen, as Kelly dropped back into her chair, burying her face in her hands. And that was it. One of the most shocking daytime TV moments ever. A conversation that started light and ended like a bombshell, with reputations on the line and friendships in ruins. What do you think? Was Gwen right, or did she go too far? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from the entertainment world.